So I finally got around to playing this game. Since I'm interested in pretty much everything explicitly Japanese, I of course wanted to give it a look, but I just didn't find the time until now. And since the game is part of the Xbox Game Pass library for PC, I finally gave it a try. Not that I wouldn't have if it wasn't. Well, and I'm torn. First off, the game looks stunning. This game really nails this samurai movie feeling with its high contrast black and white visuals and more or less fixed and really well picked camera angles set in feudal Japan. To complement the visual style, the gameplay utilizes a lot of elements from cinematic platformers, though ironically not the platforming. But you move on mostly straight paths with some forks here and there from screen to screen, where every screen is its own little set piece, where death might come quick but checkpoints are in abundance. There aren't a lot of puzzles in here, the challenges mostly focus on gritty and brutal sword combat. And this approach really works. Every scene is a painting of nature or the medieval Japanese villages, of shrines and cemeteries or other works of artisans' craftsmanship. And it's not only the calm and still environments that look this great. Depending on the set piece and the lighting, some of the fights, especially the quick and brutal kills, look incredible as well. The story is brutally serious, as you'd expect from a samurai story. Aside from the very beginning, there aren't any light-hearted moments. It's all about death and suffering and grief. It works well overall, though some scenes become quite predictable and repetitious. For example, when the third fellow samurai won't listen to you and attacks you in a fit of rage and confusion. It's more entertaining when boisterous bandits taunt you before getting decapitated by your blade. The game itself is very linear. There's sometimes a hidden area with some collectibles to find, and sometimes there are short alternate paths that either give you an opportunity to quickly dispose of a group of enemies, or it might even throw more enemies your way. But for the most part, you just run in the one direction the game offers you, more often than not on a 2D plane, and fight every enemy that crosses your path. By defeating optional enemies or finding certain collectibles, you discover more combos and even ranged attacks, and can even upgrade some of your existing moves as well as your health and stamina. While you can infinitely run, blocking, parrying, attacking and dodge rolling all drain your stamina, and when it's depleted, you can't do anything aside from walk until it has recharged. So you should avoid this at all costs as long as there are still enemies around. Combat is pretty straightforward, in theory. You have fast and heavy strikes, a dodge roll as well as a block and a parry that's activated by blocking right when the enemy's attack is about to hit you. Most enemies can only take 2 or 3 hits, and you can perform special combos that are either a bit faster or a bit stronger or give you a longer reach than your standard 3-hit combo. Early on in the game you'll even learn a combo that stuns enemies and a finisher move to immediately execute stunned enemies. Problem is, the combat is incredibly janky. You don't get any real feedback from your attacks. Strikes lack impact, parries throw you off your rhythm due to how the game handles its animations, and the game has to sometimes pull you into position for a counter-attack that doesn't even always happen. And on that note, it felt like the game was eating a lot of my inputs. There have been countless times where my third strike didn't register, and so my character was just standing there doing nothing and giving the enemies ample opportunity to hit back. Even worse, I often went for one of the stun attacks to follow up with an execution, because this is just the most sensible choice every time in a group fight, because it kills an enemy regardless of their remaining hit points, and it even replenishes some of your own health. If the game lets you. It doesn't help that enemies can attack through each other and they most of the time don't flinch after getting successfully hit. So they can just hit you in the middle of a combo and you do get interrupted every time. So many fights feel incredibly cheap and kinda encourage you to cheese certain encounters. It takes away from the cool Kurosawa movie atmosphere when you hit the air in front of you every time before engaging an enemy, just to hit it with the last attack in the combo chain to be granted an instant execution. But, well, the enemy wouldn't let you do it otherwise. So while some of the fights can look stunning if everything works just right, they never really feel good. It's always a bit off, a bit too clunky. Which is kinda weird. You'd think that in such a guided and, for lack of a better word, choreographed experience, they could have really focused on combat that feels just right for every encounter. But instead we got a lackluster combat system with enemies that don't even let you engage with the system. The game is a real looker. Just following the story and just visiting all these beautiful vistas or haunting horrorscapes is really great. But in terms of actual gameplay, there's very little here and what is here isn't really that fun. So no, I can't recommend spending 20 bucks on this game. But if you have a Game Pass subscription, give it a try. Just for the visuals and the atmosphere. And play it on the lowest difficulty setting, because higher difficulty only makes the combat system more repetitive. This game doesn't really profit from the challenge its encounters offer. I'd say it would have been better if it was a true trial and error affair, like Limbo or other cinematic platformers. Just kill every enemy with a single strike, performed at the correct moment, but also die in only one hit if you fuck up. Maybe then the developers could have even crafted more stunning visuals for the combat encounters. But yeah, again, give it a spin if you already have a Game Pass subscription. And for everyone else, I'd recommend waiting for a sale or a price drop. It's a bit sad. I wish I'd enjoyed it more, because just from the visuals this game is so up my alley. But yeah, okay, you can't have everything. But what you can have, and what I wish you to have, is an awesome day. That's it from Rady, and I hope to see you again on the next game.
So